All right, so welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be looking at artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Specifically how it's impacting politics, the tech industry, and even college campuses.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in those three areas right now.
We've got a political consultant who's facing legal trouble because of some AI-generated mischief. Elon Musk is throwing his hat into the ring of AI chatbots.
Okay.
And we've got a prestigious university that is embracing AI in a way that you might just chuckle at.
Interesting.
So let's get started with this political consultant, Steve Kramer.
Okay.
This guy's facing charges because he used AI to make robocalls that sounded just like President Biden.
Yeah, this is a big case because it's actually the first time the FTC is proposing fines for anything related to AI.
Oh, wow.
Kramer could be fined up to $6 million.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's also facing criminal charges.
For what exactly?
Charges related to voter suppression and misrepresenting himself as a candidate.
So what do these robocalls actually say?
Well, they went out to thousands of voters in New Hampshire. And basically they urged them to skip the primary election.
Saying what?
Claiming that their votes would matter more in the general election.
Interesting. So Kramer is claiming that this was all a stunt to raise awareness about AI regulation.
Right. Like he intentionally broke the law to expose this need for new laws surrounding AI.
That's quite the defense.
It is, and I wonder how the court's going to see it.
Is it breaking the law to highlight a need for a new law, or is it just breaking the law?
Yeah, it really brings up that question.
Yeah, and to make it even more complicated, the magician who actually created the Biden deepfake says he only got paid $1 to do it, and he had no idea how it's going to be used.
$1.
It's like this web of responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the person who made the tech, the person who asked for it to be made, and then the harm to the public.
Right.
It's complicated.
Yeah, how do we determine who is ultimately responsible when these AI tools are so easy to get and use?
Right, exactly. And they're only going to get more advanced and more accessible.
Exactly. We need some guidelines and safeguards.
This case really shines a light on the potential for AI to be used to spread misinformation.
Absolutely.
Especially during elections.
Oh, yeah.
Like, imagine if these deepfakes become so good that you can't tell what's real and what's fake anymore.
It's a scary thought, and it shows us how badly we need to start regulating AI in politics.
Okay, well, let's move from one powerful force to another.
Okay.
Elon Musk and his company xAI have stepped into the AI chatbot arena.
Interesting.
They've created this new chatbot called Grok-3.
Okay, so now they're competing with OpenAI and DeepSeek.
Exactly.
This is like a global arms race for AI.
Oh, yeah. And DeepSeek just released a really powerful AI model that's open source.
Yeah.
So now any developer can use their technology.
Wow.
Every week, it seems like there's some kind of new breakthrough with AI.
Right.
It's exciting, but also kind of scary.
It is. It makes you wonder if we're moving too fast.
Yeah. Are we prioritizing progress over responsible development?
It's a good question.
Okay, well, for our last story today, let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Okay.
We're going to Trinity College Dublin.
All right.
They've taken a pretty unorthodox approach to AI in academia.
Oh, how so?
Well, they've released these new guidelines that allow students to actually use AI.
Oh, wow.
Tools like ChatGPT to generate content for their essays.
So you're saying students can now have a chatbot write their essays for them?
Essentially, yes, but
That's wild.
it's not quite that simple.
Okay.
The guidelines actually state that students have to cite the AI contributions.
Like they would a normal source.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you might be reading a student's bibliography and see ChatGPT listed as a source.
I mean, that definitely challenges what we think of as a legitimate academic source.
It does, but Trinity College is saying that this doesn't mean that critical thinking isn't important.
Okay.
They're saying students still have to fact check everything that AI generates.
Gotcha.
And they have to use it responsibly.
So it's more like a tool to help students learn, not a way to avoid learning.
Right. It's like having a 24/7 research assistant.
Right.
But one that you have to constantly double check.
It's a really interesting approach, and I'm curious to see how it works out.
Me too. Will it make learning more engaging, or will it create a whole bunch of new problems?
I guess we'll see.
So from political scandals to academic innovations, it's clear that AI is really impacting our lives in ways we're only starting to understand.
Yeah, and we're just scratching the surface. This is just the beginning.
It really feels like we're living in a time of such incredible advancement, but also a lot of uncertainty.
Definitely, and I think that's what makes it all so fascinating.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up part 1 of this deep dive.
Okay.
We'll be back with part 2 to discuss this all even further.
Sounds good.
We're like on the verge of something huge, but we don't even know what it is yet.
Yeah, it is kind of exciting, though, isn't it, all this change?
It is exciting, but it's also pretty scary.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, look what happened with those AI-generated robocalls.
Right.
And now Elon Musk is joining the race to build even more powerful AI.
It seems like every time I refresh the news, there's some new development with AI.
Well, he's got this new chatbot called Grok-3, and it's supposed to be a direct competitor to companies like OpenAI and DeepSeek.
And DeepSeek is the company that just released that open source AI.
Yeah.
So what makes this Grok-3 so special?
Well, apparently it can access real-time information.
So it's not just responding to a prompt, it's constantly learning.
Exactly. It's learning from what's happening in the world right now.
Wow. So it could give you up-to-the-minute news analysis, financial insights.
Yeah, potentially even personalized recommendations based on, like, global trends.
That's incredible, although I can see some potential downsides as well.
Like what?
Well, what's stopping someone from feeding it biased information or using it to manipulate public opinion?
That's a really good point. We need to make sure that AI is being developed responsibly.
Especially as it becomes more sophisticated.
This is why it's so important to have these open conversations about AI.
We need developers and policymakers to really think about the ethical implications of this technology.
We can't just assume that AI is going to be used for good.
It's not inherently good or bad.
Yeah.
It's a tool, and it depends on who's using it and for what purpose.
That brings us back to Trinity College Dublin.
Okay, are we still talking about the essays?
Yeah, it's just really interesting to me that they're allowing students to use AI to write their essays.
It's definitely a bold move.
Yeah.
But they're emphasizing that it's not about replacing human intellect.
It's about augmenting it, right?
Exactly. It's about using AI as a tool to enhance learning.
Like a really advanced research assistant that's always available.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that AI can't replace critical thinking.
And students still need to be able to analyze information and form their own arguments.
Otherwise, they're just letting the AI do the thinking for them.
It all comes back to responsible use of technology.
We need to be aware of the potential biases that are embedded in AI systems and the potential for misuse.
This deep dive is really making me think about the speed at which all of this is happening.
It is pretty fast, isn't it?
It makes you wonder if we're moving too quickly.
Well, it's important to keep innovating, but we also need to proceed with caution.
We need to make sure that ethical considerations are always a priority.
And we need to be having these conversations, not just in academia, but in every area of life that AI is touching.
It really feels like we're at a turning point.
Yeah, a lot of things are changing very quickly.
And we need to be prepared for the challenges and opportunities that AI is bringing.
It's definitely an interesting time to be alive.
To say the least, this deep dive has been really enlightening.
It has, although it's also a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a lot to process. So where do we go from here?
Well, I think the first step is to stay informed.
Okay.
The more we know about AI, its potential, the better equipped we'll be to make decisions about its future.
So read articles, listen to podcasts, basically just stay engaged with the topic.
Exactly. And ask questions, like who is building this technology and what are their motivations?
That's something we've been doing a lot of during this deep dive.
Yeah, we don't have all the answers.
And that's okay. I mean, this is all so new.
It really is. There's no instruction manual for this.
We're all figuring it out as we go.
And it's not just up to the tech experts to figure it out either.
It's up to all of us.
We need everyone to be involved.
Ethicists, social scientists, legal experts, even artists.
We need to make sure AI aligns with our values as a society.
It's almost like we need a collective awakening.
Yeah, a recognition that AI isn't just science fiction anymore.
It's already here.
And it's impacting our lives in real ways.
We started this deep dive talking about AI in politics, the tech industry, and schools.
Right.
And it just struck me how connected all of those areas have become.
Well, that's how technology works. It impacts everything.
It blurs the lines between different industries and different parts of our lives.
It definitely makes things more complicated.
It's exciting, but it's also overwhelming.
It is a lot to take in.
So what's the main message we want listeners to take away from all of this?
I think it's important to be optimistic, but also informed.
Okay.
AI has the potential to do a lot of good in the world.
Like what?
It could help us solve climate change or cure diseases.
But we need to be careful.
We need to be aware of the risks, and we need to make sure it's being developed ethically.
So we can't just blindly trust AI or be afraid of it.
We need to understand
and work together to shape its development.
We need to remember that AI is a tool.
And we can choose how we use it.
Exactly.
Well, that's a great note to end on.
It is.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive and for sharing your expertise.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all of our listeners out there,
yes,
we hope you found this exploration of AI insightful.
We did cover a lot.
Remember, the future of AI is something that we're all creating together.
So stay curious.
Stay engaged.
And let's build a future where AI benefits everyone.
Thanks for listening.